Let's set up our profiling machine to minimize the amount of scraping we need to do later. In order to do this, we will need our profiling machine, a dial indicator, some cane, a pencil, a piece of graph paper, and our favorite reed. Down the center of our reed, we will make marks every 2 millimeters. You will notice I drew a line down the center to help us orient. Then, with our dial indicator, we will measure the thickness at each of these points and plot them on some graph paper. Keep in mind that I clipped 2 millimeters off my blank to open the reed, so the tip is at 2 and not 0 on my chart. Then we'll connect these dots to have a rough idea of how thick our reed is down the center. Next, we will have to figure out the current setup of our profiling machine. After profiling a piece of cane, we will score the center one more time so that it is easy to find later. Before removing the cane, make sure to mark the center of your profile on each end of the cane, if you haven't marked this right after gouging. Now we will make the corresponding marks on our piece of cane. Like before, we'll start by connecting the center marks on each end of the cane. Since we scored the cane again, finding the center will be really easy, and from here we'll use the same ruler as before to mark out a line every 2 millimeters. The reason we do this on the inside of the cane is because it will be much easier and more accurate when measuring on the dial indicator. With our cane prepared, we can go to the dial indicator and measure the thicknesses at each of the points we just marked. These will also go onto our chart from before, so we can compare the two lines. Now that we have marked out our current profile, it's time to figure out where we want our new settings to be. Take a straight edge and hold it over the reed measurements. Try to find an angle that gets as close as possible to as much as possible, keeping in mind to leave about 3 to 5/100th space to allow for softer cane. Next, we will find a second angle that covers the rest of the reed. Try to find an angle that does not leave a bump of cane in the middle that you will need to remove. It is easier to remove more cane at the tip than at a random spot in the middle of the reed. Plus, we will be scraping or tip profiling the tip of the reed afterwards anyway. Now we want to find the difference in distance and thickness between the two tipping points. In this case, the machine was set to profile a straight line, so my old tipping point is at 0. These two measurements are crucial for setting up the profiler. With these measurements, we can move the profile block to its new position, reflecting the change in tipping point position. The screws that hold this in place are under the machine. As each angle in front of and behind the tipping point cane be adjusted, we will do this later. Most important right now is to set the height of the center here, as it cannot be adjusted individually. To adjust this, we will loosen the set screw on the overall thickness adjustment and turn the black knob. To help you remember which way to turn the knob, we have added these helpful arrows on the top of the carriage. After we have adjusted the position and thickness of the tipping point, we will profile a piece of cane to make sure we adjust it correctly. A quick check with the dial indicator after profiling will let us know if the thickness at the tipping point is correct. Once that is correct, then we can check the thickness at the fold-over and the collar. With this information, we can adjust the front and back angles of the profile guide. First, loosen the black set screw so we can make changes. Check the position of the engraved line on the adjustment screw in relation to the ruler. I would recommend moving in small steps of 1 line or even half a line and slowly finding our way to the final thickness. Tightening this screw will make the cane thinner, while loosening it will result in thicker cane. Be sure to tighten, but not over-tighten, the set screw after making any changes. Now we can do this for the back angle guide as well. Once we have made these changes, we will profile a piece of cane again, measuring and adjusting until the cane coming off of our profiling machine matches our desired measurements that we have on our chart. After a few adjustments, we will now have a piece of cane that comes off of our profiling machine that closely matches our center measurements. From here, we can now build a blank before tip profiling and scraping to get our final finished reed. With the profile now matching our measurements, This will be a lot less work to get to a symmetrical playable point where adjustments can begin.